broken Kanu's way, and Dahui's right out of the centre. It's Kanu, what's he going to do? Oh! Can you believe it?
Hello Arsenal fans, and welcome back to a new episode of Can You Believe It, an Arsenal podcast. And what a week for Arsenal. Now, obviously, we had the Benfica result, a really good result. We're through to the next round of the Europa League. We got a really good draw, a favourable draw in the Europa League. And now I'm sitting here after a Leicester away win, the first one since the 2015-16 season when Leicester won the league. So it is a big deal, especially after the rotation that happened in this game. Now, we discussed in the Benfica pod that there was going to be rotation in this game. And I think a lot of people had mixed reactions to it on social media, but we'll get into that when I talk about the lineup. But this was a really enjoyable win and a really good comeback performance. There was a couple of standout performances as well. So let's just get into it. Let's dive into the team selection. So Bernd Leno started in goal. That's fine. Cedric started at right back, so he's replacing Hector Bellerin. Louise and Mari partnered in the centre of a defence. And then Kieran Tierney was at left back. The midfield partnership was El Neni and Xhaka. And then the front four was Pepe on the right, Smith Rowe at 10, Willian on the left, and Alexandre Lacazette, who was captain on the day, up front. So the first thing, obviously, when this team came out, a lot of people were very worried. A lot of people were annoyed, especially with selections like Willian and El Neni. These are not popular selections. These are players that have been in bad form, especially in the case of Willian. So a lot of people were annoyed because I think a lot of people were questioning, why didn't we rotate against Man City? That was the game we were never going to win. Whereas compared to this game, we have more of a chance of winning. And I put it out on Sunday that these players had only got back from Greece on Friday, maybe even Saturday. I think it was very late. Rotation was needed no matter what happened. These were players who were on the brink. Arteta said it himself. Bukayo Saka was on the brink, so I was happy to see him get a rest. He deserved the rest. And it was also an opportunity for other players to stake a claim for first team football. It was a big chance for Cedric, for example. Bellerin hasn't performed to the standard that you know he can in previous seasons. So it was a great chance for Cedric. Nicola Pepe, he's been someone who's been in good form in 2021. So this was another chance for him to showcase his skill set. And even someone like Willian, who came on against Benfica and wasn't awful, this was another chance for him to get some form, get some confidence in his legs. So that was good for him. And I can understand it. But the reaction on social media was that the lineup was rubbish. Arteta doesn't know what he's doing. You know, the standard stuff. I understood it, even if it worried me before game. Even if it concerned me that I didn't think we were going to win now. But they produced a really good performance. So credit has to go to the manager. He's rotated his big guns. He's rotated the players that needed a rest. We have a fresh squad, but we also now have options that can come in that are not totally awful. But let's get into the game. And obviously we started very poorly. So within 6 minutes, we concede a goal. And Xhaka's trying to pass it to Willian. It gets intercepted by Tielemans, who just runs and keeps running and fires a shot past Leno. Now, watching the goal back, I think a lot of people blamed Pablo Mari for his positioning, but because of Vardy's movement, I think it's particularly difficult for him to go straight for Tielemans. He has to cover the run from Vardy. So I think it's difficult for Mari to go after Tielemans. I have more of the blame for Mohamed El Neni, who was also chasing back, but sort of didn't really do anything to stop Tielemans or Vardy, who was being covered by Mari. So that was more what I was annoyed about. It seemed like an easy goal because there was no pressure on him. Arsenal players just kept backing off. When this happened, you obviously feared the worst because obviously this team's been rotated. You don't know what's going to come from these players. You don't know if they're going to buckle. But credit Arsenal, they had a really good response. And I think from this moment, it was all Arsenal's game. They were very, very good. Pepe, especially on the right, gave Luke Thomas at left back an absolute torrid time. He rinsed him on more than one occasion. Thomas should have got a yellow card much earlier than he did. And then Pepe won a penalty when he, again, dribbling down the right, cutting in on his left. Ndidi and Tielemans sort of fouled him and he goes over and there was a penalty. But then VAR replays show that Ndidi made the foul, Tielemans didn't touch him, and the Ndidi foul was outside the box. So VAR cancelled the penalty. It was just a free kick in the end. But then later in the half, we got the equaliser that we deserved. And again, Pepe winning the free kick against Luke Thomas, who again had a really poor game against Pepe. Pepe really taught him a lesson, really. And it was a ball across from Willian, who crosses it in and is headed in by David Luiz. I think he had a good game at centre-back. I think he's been pretty all right this season. He's definitely given a lot less mistakes compared to last season. I think the Unai Emery era didn't help him at all. But he's done well, and I think he's been a very good player for us this season. And it was a good header, and it was a good equaliser for us to have. And it was 1-1. And at this stage, you're thinking, that's what we deserved. If it wasn't for the silly goal we conceded, we've basically dominated this game. Now, the only thing that was bad about that is in the aftermath of that goal, Emile Smith-Rowe went down and had to get subbed off. So Smith-Rowe's injured. This is obviously a worry because Smith-Rowe has had his injury issues. He's definitely found it difficult to stay fit. He's an incredible talent. He's starting to get look-ins from not just Mikel Arteta, but Gareth Southgate as well in the England squad. I think if he's fit, he's almost certainly going to get an under-21s appearance, if not a full England cap. But he's very close. But it was a shame for him to go off. Hopefully his injury's not too serious. We haven't got any info on that yet. But then Martin Odegaard came on, who I thought had a good game. I thought he had a good effect. I think Odegaard's passing is just the best thing about him. He's a passer. He's a different player to Smith-Rowe, who I think can drive. I think Smith-Rowe could play deeper, not in a double pivot, but in a 4-3-3 as a number 8, bursting forward. I think Smith-Rowe could do that. I think Smith-Rowe's real good specialty is his ability to be close to a striker, close to a winger. Whereas Odegaard, he just has such an amazing passing ability, short or long passes, that it's just a joy to watch it sometimes. There was actually an incident in the second half where he passes it to Pepe, and Pepe is now isolated with a defender one-on-one. And I just don't think a lot of players have been able to allow Pepe to do that, but also to play that pass as well. So I think Odegaard deserves a lot of credit. Just before half-time, we get a penalty awarded. Now, it was a shot from Pepe from the right wing, which hit Ndidi's arm. I thought it was a penalty straight away. It was a really bad handball. But Paul Tierney on the day looked at the monitor and overturned the decision and gave a penalty. So it was a penalty for Arsenal. I thought maybe Pepe would take it, but I think Lacazette was probably the right choice. I think Lacazette is a very good penalty taker. His record before joining Arsenal was fantastic, and his record at Arsenal is good. 5 out of 5 penalties now he scored. I've probably jinxed him to miss the next one. But Lacazette produced a really good penalty, and we're 2-1 up by half time. And it was what we deserved. I mean, the first half stats, we had 5 shots, 2 on target, but we had a big chance. So it was a really good first half. Leicester weren't really into it. They allowed us to have the ball. We had 68% possession. They were basically, when they went 1-0 up, they wanted to do to us what they did earlier in the season, was drop back and try and get on the counter with Jamie Vardy. But we were much more smarter. Now, I don't think a lot of people remember this, but the Carabao Cup game against Leicester away, we performed really well because of our pressing. We pressed them quite high and we didn't allow them a sniff all game. And this was similar. Our pressing was very smart. It wasn't aggressive or overly aggressive to leave us exposed, but it was just smart. We blocked passing lanes well. We done very well in that aspect. So we deserved the lead going into half time. And then in the second half, Leicester made changes. So Thomas, who, like I said, had a very poor game, came off at Albrighton. And then within 15 minutes, Harvey Barnes goes down injured, which obviously you don't want to see anyone be injured. And I wish Harvey Barnes a speedy recovery. But he is one of Leicester's best players, so it was a boost for us. But then after that, we scored very quickly. And it was a very good counter-attack. Now, firstly, Xhaka does very well to sense a turnover. There's a scrap between Lacazette and I think it's Ndidi in the centre of midfield. But Xhaka just goes in there, gets the ball and plays it to Pepe. And then after that, it's just Pepe dribbling forward. He does very well. He goes into the centre of the box, so he's not just going straight down the right wing to cut in. He's going diagonal. He does very well. Passes it to Odegaard. Odegaard plays a lovely ball to Willian. Willian, I think, passes it. It's not registered as a Willian assist, but he does pass it through the legs of Schmeichel, and Pepe has a tap in. And it was 3-1. And really, at this stage, it was game over because we had controlled the game. We had looked like the most likely to score. I don't think Leicester looked like they wanted to score at all, apart from the goal we basically gifted them. And it was a really top performance, and we showed our dominance here, getting another goal, and 3-1. I was really pleased with Pepe. I think his 2021 has been fantastic. I think Arteta deserves some credit for him because I think he moved him out on the left to maybe simplify his game, because I think Pepe can be he can complicate things a lot. Whereas I think you're starting to see some of the early signs of how he was when he first joined Arsenal. Because I think even though he wasn't scoring, he was still dribbling past players. He was still able to do that. But I think he looked a bit lost at the start of this season under Arteta. And I think he struggled, especially coming off the bench. He obviously was behind Willian. And obviously the system didn't help anyone, let alone him. But he's come into this 4-2-3-1, wherever it be on the left or the right, and he's looked fantastic. He deserves real credit. And if it was me, I would start him on the left all the time now. Saka's obviously got that right wing on lock. But if you want either Smith Rowe or Odegaard at number 10, Pepe is probably the best option on the left. And I'm really pleased with him. He's been fantastic. And he was fantastic on the weekend. So pleased for him. But we made 2 more changes. So we had Partey come on for El Neni. That was just to really shore up the midfield. Partey's obviously just coming back from injury. And then Aubameyang coming on for about 10 minutes for Lacazette. Aubameyang had a chance to score. It was a really good classic Aubameyang cutting from the left, try and strike it into the bottom corner. Just misses, just goes wide. And that was it. 3-1. It was a great result. Now, obviously, credit Arteta, who's had to rotate the team and he's done it very well. I think sometimes you can forget that players need rest, especially in this season when players are absolutely fatigued a lot of the time. If you can give them a rest and get them 3 points, then that's the perfect scenario, and that's what happened here. I think the best thing of the day is that Bukayo Saka got a complete rest in this game. He will now have basically a week off to get some fitness back, and he'll probably be back in the team for Burnley. We're going to need Saka. Partey obviously didn't play the whole game, which is good. We need Partey. We need Aubameyang. These are players that are going to be crucial to us going forward, especially when you're talking about the Europa League. We have a favourable draw. I'm not saying that we're going to walk Olympiacos, but when you compare it to some of the other draws, this one's definitely one of the easier ones. So hopefully this rest can allow them to be fresh for the rest of the season now. And it's going to heat up. So this game was very good. But not only was the rest good for those players that I mentioned, but players came in and looked very good. Cedric, I think, gave some balance to Pepe on the right. I think he works quite well with him. I think Cedric could have scored. I think there was a chance where Pepe played the ball into him and Cedric just caught it under his feet. So it was a bit difficult for him. But Cedric, I think, links very well with Pepe. I mean, when Pepe was playing on the left, Cedric was at left back. So that's good for Pepe that he seems to have a relationship with a fullback. Obviously, Willian, I think he had a very good performance in this game. He looked energetic. He looked faster, quicker, sharper. There was a dribble that he had that led to the penalty where he completely skins past the defender and goes into the centre, plays it to Pepe, who tries to shoot, and it gets hit on Ndidi's arm. There was another one where I think he made Castagna completely sit down, which was hilarious. He just looked very good. He had a chance to score as well. He pulled his shot wide. It was a poor effort, but he was very good in this game. And credit to Willian, because he hasn't been good at all this season, apart from one game against Fulham. He was good here, and I'm pleased for him. And I'm pleased for Arteta, who obviously stuck by Willian, even though people criticised him, including me, because I didn't think Willian was worth playing anymore. You could play Martinelli or whoever. But I would rather be proven wrong. I want the people managing my club and running my club to prove me wrong. I can share valid concerns about players, but I want them to prove me wrong because I want my football club to be good. And I'm glad Willian done very well this game, and hopefully he can continue that form. There's one other player that I want to mention, and that's Granit Xhaka. Now, a lot of people on this listening to this podcast will know that Granit Xhaka is not my biggest fan. I still don't think he's absolutely top quality. But credit him, he's been fantastic since the Burnley game. He was really good here. He was just an intelligent player. There was a lot of times where he got his body in front of the ball to win a foul, and it was really, really good, really intelligent, smart play to keep pressure off us. He's going to be our first choice central midfielder next season with Partey. I think that's going to happen. Him and Partey have a good relationship, and I think this is probably the best he's looked at Arsenal. Potentially his back three appearances with Aaron Ramsey, he looked very good then. But apart from that, I think he's looked very good in this system. So credit him, he's done well. And he done very well in this game. But it was 3 points for Arsenal. It took us to 10th. So we're above Leeds again, into the top 10. We're only 2 points off Villa and 2 points off Spurs. But Spurs have a game in hand and Villa have 2 games in hand. So we're still quite a long way off going even higher in the table. But hopefully someone could do us a favour with Spurs and we can get closer to them. We obviously want to get further away from Leeds and Wolves. And the only way to do that is to keep winning. But I'm really happy with the game and I'm really happy with the performance. We deserved the win and it was a really top performance and a top weekend. Right, so we've got a few questions that I'm going to answer today. So 2 of them are similar. So one's from regular contributor at Titanori. And they ask, hate to ask it again, but can Arsenal make any sort of European spot via the Prem? And one from at Pure Visions. And he asks, do you think we can push on for a top 6 place now? So top 6, probably not. It's difficult because when you look at the table, I mean, we're only 6 points off 6th, 8 points off 4th. But there are so many teams above us and teams who have games in hand. And that's difficult because obviously we could go above Villa, but Villa have 2 games in hand on us. So that's potentially 6 points they can get on us. So we just have to hope that we keep winning and everything falls in our place. I'm glad that we're at least reachable to those places. I'm not saying that there's any guarantee that we're going to finish in the top 4 or the top 6, even the top 8. But as long as we keep winning and keep producing performances, then maybe we can get up there. I think we have the 4th or 5th best record in the league since Christmas, which is obviously encouraging because that was the period where we went to this new system. So obviously we're showing good form. There are going to be some 6-pointers here. We still play Spurs. We still got to play Everton. We still got to play Liverpool. We still got to play West Ham. These are games that are going to make our season. Still got to play Chelsea as well. If we could beat all those teams, then yeah, top 6 is likely. But that's a lot of wins that we've got to get. We basically have to be picture perfect between now and the end of the season. No losses. We have to win basically every game. And I just don't see that happening. Because even the run that we've been on and even how good we've been since Christmas, this team is going to find it difficult to be perfect because there may be something that stops us. There may be something that we find difficult. Maybe a refereeing decision goes differently. All we have to do is just keep up with performances and hopefully we can keep winning. But thanks for your question, guys. So, regular contributor at the Flying Gooner asks, what do you think Arteta is doing with Martinelli? Now, Martinelli didn't appear in this game. I hope what's happening with Martinelli is that he's just being carefully managed between now and the end of the season. Because obviously he's come off from a long-term injury. That's what I hope it is. I think Martinelli will still get minutes. Now, I think people think that Arteta doesn't like Martinelli, but Martinelli started against Chelsea. Martinelli started against Manchester United. These are big games. So if Arteta didn't believe in him, then he wouldn't have got into the squad for these games. If he hadn't appeared from when he came back from injury, then I would understand. But I think the calls for Arteta saying that he doesn't like Martinelli are a bit premature. Let's just see what minutes he can get between now and the end of the season. Because there's a lot of football. We're going to need him. And he's such a special talent. I can see him doing well for us. So just believe that he's going to get minutes because I think that's going to happen anyway. But thanks for your question, Jack. And last one from regular contributor at Billy Johnson 101. And he asks, how important is a right back in the summer for this side? Often whoever is on the right side looks isolated and has to turn in field when he is one-on-one. So I think a right back is important. To talk about the right-hand side looks isolated. I think that's by design. I think he likes his right backs, Arteta, inverted. I don't think he likes them to go on the overlap, especially not like Tierney. You don't see that with the right backs at all. When Arteta first came in, Maitland-Niles was playing that role and he looked very comfortable. And then Bellerin came in and he looked comfortable as well. But I think we do need an upgrade there. I think Bellerin has been not amazing this season. I think he's been better than some people have made out, but I don't think he's the Hector Bellerin that we know he could have been ages ago. I think if a decent offer came in for him this summer, I think we should sell. I think Cedric is a perfectly serviceable backup right back. I don't think he should be starting week in, week out for a side that's aiming for top 6 or higher. So yes, an upgrade in that position would be really good. My only thing is that I would only upgrade that position after other positions. So I would still look for a centre midfielder. I would still look for a creative player, especially if Odegaard doesn't stay, because that will be more important than a right back. A right back is important, but I think you can get away with it and kick the can down the line if you bring in creativity to make the team score more goals. So, yes, something in the summer at right back would be good, but it would be my third choice behind a creator and a central midfielder. But thanks for your question, Billy. And that's all the questions. Obviously, you know where to ask them by now. At AFC Met on Twitter, I usually post a tweet after the game asking for questions, so look out for that. But thank you for joining me. It's been a really good week for Arsenal. 2 big wins. And things are looking a bit rosy now, so that's good. Hopefully we can continue it. But thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you after the Burnley game. Until then, come on you Gunners.
Well, it's broken Kanu's way, and Hui's right out of the centre. It's Kanu, what's he going to do? Oh! Can you believe it?